So where we left off was we have our basic platform and we do have it imported into Unity so we can place it and we can make some adjustments. The only problem though is inside of Unity, if we were to put a player character in here right now, they would just fall through it because there's no collision on this. Because remember, we do have to have collision on all of our stuff in Unity. If we were to create, like for instance, a 3D cube, by default, it does put a box collider on it for you inside of Unity. So we're not making this inside of Unity, we're making it inside of Houdini. So we do want to add collision to this. And we do want to make it in a way that just whenever we export it, the collision is created and exports with it as well. And this is very easy to do. To do this, we're going to go inside of the platform. We just have some basic ones right now. And we do want to add a node in here called the tetrahedralized node. And we can just right click and search for tetrahedralize. And we're going to place it off to the side because we're going to kind of build our collision mesh off to one side, but ultimately this is going to be what it looks like. So we're going to kind of branch it off, so we're making collision and then we're going to kind of merge them together in the end. So I'm going to connect this up and we'll take a look at it and you can kind of see what it's doing. It is turning this mesh into some tries, and it kind of already starts to look like what a collision mesh looks like inside of Unity. We do have to change a couple of settings with this. We do have to make sure that the mode changes from conform to surface to convex hull. And we do want to make sure that we change the output from tetrahedra to polygons because we work with polygons. And this pretty much is going to be our collision box. We do have to add a couple more nodes. We do want to add in a reverse node because it's going to be technically going the wrong way. And we do want to add a normal node to this. And we are going to eventually add a normal node into this one as well. You're going to find when you do stuff with Unity that you do a lot of stuff where you're going to add this normal node into it. And all this is doing, if you're familiar with 3ds Max, and I'm sure Maya does it as well, when you mess with your smoothing groups to make sure that you have nice hard edges, like if you need it or you want it to be smooth, this is just setting where you want, like what angle do you want to normalize it at. So usually by default it's set to 60, that's pretty common. But if we throw this on here, we're going to make sure that there's a nice clean edge between these and it doesn't try to round it out. So we always want to add that onto there. And while we're at it, I am going to just have this selected and hit Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. And it does come in when you copy paste nodes attached to it, but if you kind of wiggle it, it'll detach it for you. Just so we can also make sure that the geometry we are exporting is going to also export that. Yes, question? This is just the demo where you watch, and then the next, after the video's done and this demo, I'm gonna go back and show you guys again slower. Okay. So afterwards, we do have to do one more step to the collision itself because Unity, if we go into the Houdini engine settings window, and in the advanced settings, we can see some interesting things about it, where if we import an object that has something attached to it called collision geo, it's going to assume this is our collision object. So we don't have to make any kind of changes inside of Unity. It's going to just say, oh, this thing attached to it called collision geo, that's its collision. So we just need to tell it inside of Houdini that this thing we're making right here is the collision. And to do that, we're just going to group it. And it's just a group node. And we just attach it to it. And we just need to make sure that where it says group create, we call it collision _ geo, and it has to be called this. capitalize, underscore it exactly like this, or it's not going to work, because it's going to look for this tag in the import and know that this is the collision. We do also want to make sure that the group name is also collision geo. There's two ways we can go about this. We can either copy paste, or a lot of people, you'll see this used, if you use the $OS, it will automatically take what is in here and copy it into there. So you might see this in a lot of places. It's just like a simple shorthand, so you're not copy pasting a lot of things. So with this, this is our collision, and then we just have to kind of merge it back in with our regular geometry. So we're just going to use a merge node. And we'll bring this root back in, and we'll bring down the original root, and it will merge these two kind of pipes together. So we have geometry, collision. And we do want to make sure we click the blue button on, so that it is saying like this is the final node in here, because as you click the very right, it's like the blue eye. This is what is viewable in your viewport, so you can check things as you go, like if you need to go back and look at things. But you want to make sure ultimately we do click this last thing on. And I am going to change the name to final, because this is our final node, and this is like a nice way to know that this is the final thing that we have to put on there. So let us, once this is done, we're going to pop back up to the regular object level. We're going to right click on it and do a save node type, so it'll re-export it for us. If we jump back over into Unity now, we do need to locate where our export is, and mine is in here. And I'm just going to actually, I like to do it this way, so there's no possible way to mess this up. I'm going to have two windows open. One is the actual Unity project, Houdini assets, and I'm just going to copy and paste this one into here. Otherwise, sometimes Unity has a problem if you try to move something named the same thing into there. It wants to make it another one and change its name. We'll replace it. So we do have this one already in here. So if we select this in here and we go to the rebuild button, keep an eye of what happens underneath here on this platform. Like we opened up, it has some stuff going on. We hit rebuild. Notice it's changed it to final, because we did name that node, the final node, final. So we know we did get the correct export. And it does have this collision geo attached to it. And if we it's kind of hard to see on the projector, but you see the green lines on here? That we know in Unity, the green line means a collision volume. We know that there is collision being associated with this. So now we can just drag and drop our objects, resize them, and they do have collision on them. As a test, we can import in that one of the characters, for instance, we'll just do the, let's see. I'm just going to drop in the third person character so we can set it on top of there and see that it works. Third person, prefab, third person, and we'll just drop it on the surface here. And we'll be able to see it. Camera won't follow, but we can hit play. And we can see the character is not falling through. Oh, I jumped off, but let's try moving that over a little bit. And we now have our platforms ready to go. So I did want to go a little bit farther today, but we did have those technical issues, which are hopefully worked out now. So I'm going to stop it here.